you what, we have waited 5 minutes. I think that's enough. My usual model, I like to wait, but I also like to respect everybody's time. So I am going to get the ball rolling here. Let me go ahead and I'll pop up my screen share again, and then we shall get going. Give me just 1 second here, ladies. Everybody see that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, gang, welcome to today's training. Now that we're recording, I'm David Satterfield, your Director of Technology and your Market Center Tech Trainer. I'm really excited. This is a class that I've taught before, kind of in one-on-one sessions, but I have received a lot of comments and demand for it lately. We're literally going to go through kind of the compliance process, literally from the points that you have a contact or a client, literally to the point where you submit your compliance forms and your paperwork to the Market Center and actually get your paycheck. So that's why I tried to give it a clever little title, from contacts to commission. So you start nurturing those relationships, and those could be, fast, or it could take a while. But ultimately, you get to what I call the win-win situation, where somebody either buys or sells a house, and then you get a paycheck. So that's always a great thing to have going on. I've had a lot of agents that, we've had people that are either brand new. We've getting a lot of brand new recruits these days. So that's great to get some new blood in here for some agents. Oh, there she is. Hi, Michelle. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm here.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
So everybody that survived COVID in 2020, we all need to get t-shirts that say you're on mute, the number one quote from 2020 or something like that.
I'm telling you.
I like that, David.
Right? I think I might have a whole nother side business there. So again, we've got new recruits coming in. We have some, I never say old recruits, I say seasoned or veteran agents. And, there are a lot of people, we had, especially coming out of family reunion, when Gary Keller kind of gave his State of the Union address for the state of the real estate industry. And he talked about partnerships and Zillow and Dotloop, and then, of course, Keller Williams with DocuSign, and how we were aligning ourselves, as a company, and then obviously locally in our market centers as well. So we've had a lot of people that have actually jumped out of Dotloop and come over to DocuSign as well. And, everything is the same, gang. If you do it repetitiously, that does breed familiarity, but we have agents who are part-time agents. They literally hold down a whole other full-time job or a part-time job and do real estate as another part-time job or even a side gig. We've got agents who, they're still doing it full-time, so maybe they're winding down towards the end of their career, and they just don't do as many transactions as they used to. Or like I mentioned, people that have been converting over from Dotloop to DocuSign. And from that, I've seen a lot of need and a lot of requests for that. So this seems to be the most frequent requests I get. I literally get a lot of tech calls from other things, but the most common one seems to be, oh my gosh, I just got done with a deal. I need help getting my paperwork in, right? That's the most common one I get. And I'm more than willing to always help with that, of course. But for you guys, I'm sure it must be frustrating. If anybody ever has to get in the situation and say, man, I don't remember how to do my own forms or my paperwork or whatever. So that's kind of the background on why I put this class together, gang. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through what I call the 6-step process from command to commission, or contacts to commissions. And here's kind of a snapshot of how that's going to work for us. Okay. These are going to be our 6 steps for success. I'll pull up in command here and we'll just walk right through that and get going here in a second. But I just kind of wanted to lay out this little roadmap for you. So to me, I'm a military guy, a veteran, a Navy veteran. Ask me about submarines some other time. That's a whole other story for another day. However, my point in that being, like, I got really good about just learning off of bullet points. If I can just, put something in a very concise procedure, lay it out in a certain order, a lot of times it helps me take those bigger tasks or projects and kind of break them down. So this is our 6-step process, gang. If you would like a copy of this PowerPoint, I'd be more than happy to post it on Facebook. Heather's shaking her head emphatically. Absolutely. Thumbs up from Michelle. Yes, I will definitely get you guys a copy after we get out of here. So, I mean, if you want to take notes, feel free, you know, that helps people remember too, but I will definitely get you a copy of this, okay?
If you're sending it, it'll save me from frantically writing.
Oh yeah, don't frantically write. Like if you want to write because it helps you remember, feel free, Michelle. Yeah, but I don't want you frantically writing. I'd rather you guys
Okay,
are
cool.
like observing and going through the process with me and so I can take you through that hand by hand. Yeah, yeah, don't stress that. I will definitely get you guys a copy and put that out there for the rest of the office as well. So our 6 steps basically, we'll just walk through this really quick, just talk about it a little bit. Feel free to chime in with any questions at any time. And then we're going to actually go and do these 6 steps literally from start to finish. Okay. So step 1, we're actually going to, the first thing you need to do is get into command. And if you are a newer agent, you're a recruit, I get these all the time with our R1s that come in and you have not connected to DocuSign yet, we're going to need to get you signed into DocuSign, get a DocuSign account, or if you are a more seasoned veteran agent, then we're going to need to just verify that you're properly connected to DocuSign to your command. Okay. I've got a lot of people that go and they will just go to DocuSign.com and they'll sign up for an account there. And then they'll come in later on and they'll do command and they'll think that everything's going to work out great. It actually does not work that way, gang. Okay. I also have them do that on the flip side when they do their deals or their transactions. They'll go to DocuSign, they'll start doing everything there. Then they'll learn the hard way. You should have started that whole thing in command. Okay. So I've had a couple agents here recently make jokes and say, you know, well, David, you're the command guy. You just want to convince everybody to use command. Well, this is the one area in command that we can all agree we have to do. Everybody has to do their compliance through command. So at a minimum, what I hope I teach you today will help you get through the process of being a realtor. If you decide, hey, I want to do marketing or email or social media using another vendor, have, you know, Wix make me a website or survey, or what's the monkey one? I forget the monkey place, MailChimp or whatever it is. Survey Monkey is a whole nother thing. You know, that's fine. I'm not here to convince you to use command, but everybody needs to use command to do your paperwork. So anyway, so that's step 1, connect to DocuSign or just verify that you're connected to DocuSign. And I'll go through these again as we're doing each step to reinforce that for everybody. Okay. Step 2, you would think you would be able to go and just start your commissions, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove it to you. The minute I go to start my opportunity, or not commissions, your opportunity, when I go in to start my opportunity in command, the very first thing it's going to ask me is who's your contacts. So go and do your contacts first. If they're in command, that's great. Okay. If they're not, let's go in there. Let's put the contacts in. Let's verify we have the maximum amount of information we can for these contacts. At some point in time, you know, during this opportunity or afterwards, you might want to add them to a smart plan later on, you know, once you sell them a home or help them sell their home or help them buy a home. You know, maybe you want to send them, put them on your smart plan, you know, home anniversary, you know, that you send out once a year to everybody or some, you know, maybe a neighborhood nurture. Here's what's going on in your neighborhood, et cetera. So we'll go ahead and we'll spend a little time on our contacts. Then step number 3, we're going to go in and we're actually going to create the command opportunity, including all of the document placeholders that you need in there. Okay. There's one step, especially a couple agents, especially recently in the last week or two, forgot that there was another step in here and they were just having the hardest time with their forms. One of them came in this week. I had a one-on-one with them the other day. And literally when I showed them this, they did this number. I have to take off my glasses to do this, but they did the, you know, people text you SMH, that means smacking my head. They literally smacked their head right in front of me and said, I cannot believe I didn't know that step or I missed that step, etc. So I will show you this. That kind of hurt. I'll show you the smacking my head step and hopefully that'll keep the light bulb on you so you can get it right every time. Okay. So once we go and we do that, step 3, create the opportunity. We'll get our document placeholders ready to go. So that way everything in command is ready to now receive those compliance forms. Then we're going to do step 4. We're going to link that we're going to link to our DocuSign room. We're going to fill in any required data that we need to in that DocuSign room. That we're going ahead and we're going to grab our required forms to do our compliance. Okay. That'll lead us right into step 5. Once we've got the forms, we just need to, you know, put them in an envelope, collect e-signatures from the clients. A couple different steps there. I'll show you how to set up the envelopes, how to put the interactive form fields on there, you know, for a signature, for an initial, for a date, you know, a checkbox, etc. So you can do that. And then also kind of walk you through the process, what happens as you're waiting for those completed documents to come back. Okay. So once we have all that, They come back, best case scenario, everything comes back first time, you know, signed, ready to roll. Then we can roll into step 6, which is just plop those documents into Command, link them together, and then you just submit your forms to the Market Center and your offer requests as well, okay? And that's where your paycheck comes from. So any questions, anytime, thumbs up from Heather, that's a good thing. All right, gang, I'm gonna pop out of this PowerPoint. We'll come back to this again, like I said. I'll use that as a backup. And we will go ahead and do step 1. So I'm in Command right now. And I said step 1 was to go ahead and either connect to DocuSign or verify that you're connected to DocuSign. The way you're going to do that is to come over here up on the top right of Command. You can see my mugshot there, my headshot photo. And by your name, there's that little arrow that always gives you the command menu. I'm going to click on that down arrow and I'm going to go down to the command settings. Okay. Again, if you have, if anybody that is here or, you know, checks this out later on the recording, hopefully it'll go to settings. There we go. Had to wake up my command a little bit. Should have smacked it in the head. So if you ever go in here, like I said, don't go to DocuSign and just sign up for an account. Okay. DocuSign.com, thinking that's what you need to do. You can do all of that here from within Command. Okay. So again, I came up here to the menu on the top right. I pulled that menu down and we went to the command settings. The initial screen in command settings is where you see all of the apps that are either currently attached to Command or by default that you can connect to Command. So you'll see right up at the top, I'm already connected to DocuSign and Dotloop because I teach both of those. You've got things like your Gmail account, your social media, Facebook posts, Facebook ads, etc. All kind of stuff, all the way down to the bottom to where, you know, there's our Command email campaigns, there's MailChimp, the other monkey one, excuse me, and Twilio as well for your texting service, okay? So you notice for DocuSign, I am already signed up and I'm connected. So I did verify that I'm good, but let's go back a step. What if you weren't, okay? You'll see how I can tell that I am connected. My email address is showing up here. I do want to caution everybody, please make sure that when you sign up or do your initial DocuSign account, that it is connected to your kw.com email address. I bring that up specifically. I've had agents that, like me, I do the same thing, what I'm about to mention, but I have gone in and I've connected my personal Gmail account to my kw.com Gmail account. Heather's shaking her head. I know we've talked about this before. A lot of people do that because it's a very convenient way to basically merge your inboxes together and just handle all your emails in one inbox, okay? Some people love doing that. We've got some people on the flip side of the house that want their personal and their work stuff separate, and that's cool. But then you find yourself signing in and out of Gmail. So there's, you know, there's pros and cons either way. It's totally up to you guys. But when it comes to DocuSign, you will need your kw.com email for that, okay? You can see over here on the right-hand side that I am actually connected. It says connected is my current status. And the only option I have as far as this button over on the right-hand side, I can disconnect my account. So I am going to disconnect my account right now just so I can show you the sign-up process. But I also want to mention, if you ever find that you're having problems with your forms going back and forth between DocuSign and Command, or you've made some updates to the information in Command, and when you sync it, it's not going into DocuSign. DocuSign's like any other program. It gets a little glitchy sometimes. I know that's hard to believe. We never had that happen in Command, right? Never glitches on us. But if I had $1 for every time, right? Or I wouldn't have a job if that were the case. What I tell everybody is it's kind of the standard Microsoft solution. If you guys get a hold of me, that's great. But probably the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to go ahead and disconnect your account right here and connect it again. You know, just like Microsoft solution, right? Get out and get back in, reboot your computer and get back in, close the program, get back in. Sometimes that will fix some of those minor glitches for you. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect my account. There's nothing wrong with doing that because I do want on the recording to be able to show the sign up process. So I just clicked on disconnect. It's going to ask me, are you sure you want to disconnect? I'll no longer be available to use DocuSign. That's cool because I'm going to turn around and reconnect it right away anyway. And there you go. You see DocuSign disappeared as one of my connected apps, but it's okay. It's down here in once again as one of the default apps that I can use. So there's a couple other ways to get to that, gang. If you've never been there before, here in the settings, I can click on this connect more apps and it'll take me to the KW Marketplace where all of the apps reside, or anywhere in Command. Doesn't matter where I am. If you go up here on the top right, you've got what kind of looks like a little Spanish hacienda, I call it. That's your marketplace button. If I click on that, and I'll just do it so you can see it. Give it a second to load here. That will take you to the KW Marketplace. And those are all the different commands that are able to interact within command. You can see things like down, but there's .loop. I could go search for DocuSign. There's Twilio, our texting service. I mean, there's literally hundreds of them in here, okay? So the good thing is DocuSign is one of our defaults. So again, you'll notice my email address disappeared because I'm not connected. My current status is now not connected. And the only option I have is to connect my account. Well, that's what we said, step one, right? Connect or verify you're connected. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the connect account button. I'm going to get this page and it's going to say, hey, please input the email that you'd like all your documents to be sent from. Of course, I've got my KW in there, just like I told you. I could send for a registration email, or again, gang, the easiest way to do all this stuff is just straight through command. So right here, even if you don't have an account yet, click on the login here. It says, do you have an account already? Click login here. You'll see why I say that, even if you don't have an account. Because now, if I have an account, I can just log in with my email and password. But look right here. Hey, don't have an account yet? Why don't you create one right here? That's why I always tell everybody you can do everything in command. I do not have to go to DocuSign.com to create my initial account. I can do it right here. So for all you brand new users or you R1 agents coming in and you haven't even like made a DocuSign account yet, this is where you would go to do that, okay? For all of you that have and you're just verifying that you're on there, or for some reason, if it ever disconnects, or you had to disconnect it because you started having some of those glitches, I'm just gonna go ahead and log in with my previous DocuSign info. I'm about to say it's probably gonna take me to the window and have me log in, yep. Again, using my kw.com email, and up at the sign, DocuSign is now ready and can be found in your opportunities, okay? So there we go, gang. That's step one. Connect to DocuSign or just verify that you're connected to DocuSign, okay? All right, so we said step two, we're going to add our clients or contacts into your command contact database, okay? Again, I promised that I would show you how or why that's needs to happen that way. So I'm going to do what most agents do. I'm just going to go over here to opportunities, right? If I pause my cursor there, it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little applets down. Looks like the shaking hands. I always say it looks like United Way, their logo. I'm gonna go ahead and click on opportunities. You can see I've kind of got some stuff in the pipeline here, right? But and this is what most people do. They go over here and say, oh, just go over here on the top right and create opportunity. Nothing wrong with that, right? Click on that button. Okay. By default, it puts in your market center. By default, it says what the opportunity type is, but you could change. It could be listing, buyer, landlord, tenant. Okay. If you're on a team, you would have your team selected there. You might need to select it. The owner, that is not the owner of the address or the property, that is the owner of the actual opportunity within command. I bring that up because if anybody is on a team, the owner is probably going to be your rainmaker, okay? What happens is the rainmaker will be designated as the team owner for all the opportunities. And I'm not on a team, but if I was, there would be a box right here that says assignee. And let's say, you know, Michelle, if you were on a team, you would be the assignee, which means you can administer and you can take care of the opportunity, but ultimately the rainmaker owns that, okay? But what's the first box right here say? Client, okay? So again, if you have your clients in there, that's great. You can start typing. You know, I think I've got Scooby-Doo in there. Yeah, he's in there a couple times. So if Scooby-Doo is buying a house, maybe Scooby-Doo and Shaggy or Scrappy are getting a new place. That's cool. But if I don't, well, guess what? I got to close that box and I got to go to my contacts anyway. So let's just go and do that with step 2. Put your contacts in. And that'll give us an opportunity to go through a couple of contacts thing while we're here as well. Okay. So I am thinking, give me just 1 second here, gang. Not being an agent, I use all fictitious stuff. So I'm looking to see who I've got in here. Okay, I do have those guys. Bummer. Anybody remember what the Wonder Twins names were from Super Friends? I'm making you stretch here, right? Okay, so you know what? We'll go back to Scooby-Doo, okay? I'm just going to manually add a contact, okay? I know I got Scooby-Doo. I think I got Shaggy in there, but I don't think I've got Fred. Oh, I've got my caps lock on, sorry. I don't think I've got Fred in there, so I have no idea what Fred's last name is. I'm just going to say it's Mystery because their van was the Mystery Machine. I think Fred always drove, or Shaggy did, one of the two. So I'll go ahead and put Fred in there as my contact. I've got agents all the time that ask me, hey, I've got a husband, wife team, partners, whatever. Should I add one or the other or both? I only seem to communicate with one mostly. What I tell everybody is add all of your contacts in there, okay, as contacts, because you can always do what we call an add relationship, okay? And we'll do that here shortly, and I'll show you why. One of the things I like to do is teach you to be effective in command, but also efficient. And anytime I can save you 5 seconds here, 20 seconds there, then I'm doing my job even better to help you save time. Okay. So I'll show you why it's a benefit to add those relationships. So I'll go ahead and put Fred at ScoobyDoo.com. I always hope that some fans of these like Marvel people I use don't have these email addresses, or maybe they're like cosplay, crazy fans, and they're wondering why David Satterfield is emailing them real estate stuff for the last year. Who knows? It's because their headquarters get blowed up every episode or every other movie, it seems like. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll put just making up phone numbers. All right, so again, gang, just a quick review of contacts. If I had a lead source, I could always put this in there, right? The person that referred you to them, if they are the lead source, maybe they came from a Facebook ad, you could always mark them as the lead source. Or if you had the lead source was in your contact, maybe Shaggy was the one that referred me. I could always put him in there as well. Okay. Tags, it's kind of like hashtags for your when you're on the internet. There's a couple different reasons that you can do this. One, it helps you classify people, but it also helps you put them in different groups here in your contacts. Now that's great when your contact database gets really big. Like Heather, we've been working on downloading your phone contacts into your command. We're going to do Facebook, I think, this week sometime. You just showed me the stack of open house stuff and network events and contact cards, etc. You're going to end up with thousands. Okay. So that's a great way to kind of organize your contacts, but also later on, when you start doing marketing within command, your email campaigns or doing smart plans for some follow-up actions, it really does help you organize to have these people in groups or categories as best you can, rather than just, whenever you're doing something, opening up a database of 2,000 contacts and having to scroll, to find out all of them that meet your criteria. Okay, so I've got some pre-existing tags. They are cartoon characters. So I'm going to add cartoon. Any of these ones that are in dark gray, those are the defaults from command. So you things like buyers, sellers, etc., agents. Okay. I don't know, honestly, if I made a Scooby-Doo group yet. It doesn't look like I did. Okay. So again, for you, it could be something, maybe it's you're working with military or veterans. Maybe you want to classify them by VA. Maybe you've got some pre-approved people, that have pre-approved their loans. I'm just using, again, fictitious stuff, but you guys hopefully get the idea. I'm going to classify them as the Scooby-Doo group. And I'm going to create that custom tag. And I don't know, what was the mystery machine? Mostly green. Let's just make it a green one. And we'll click on add. Now I've got a Scooby-Doo group as well. So they're in a couple different groups there. Okay. Under add more information, again, just a quick review of contacts. Hang on just a sec. Wait, what was that, Heather? Are there only 800 or 10 colors?
8 colors for the tags.
Oh, yeah, they're kind of limited on that. It's not like when we were kids and we got to get the 64 color crayon Crayola box, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, they do only have a few like the primary colors, but you are able to add 10 tags per person. Okay. So you can classify them in other groups that, unfortunately for now, they don't have an extensive color library to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put that in as a suggestion.
Oh yeah, yeah. There might be other people that there may actually be one in there already. I would search for it first.
Okay.
Excuse me. One of the things I like to show in the contacts while we're here, again, just a review. If you know this, great. If not, then I just don't like people to be surprised. When you come into the additional information area, I mean, it's extra emails, phone numbers, text you can put down here. You've got links to all their different social media profiles. Things like that. But the one I always like to bring up is this do not contact. Later on, you might be, doing an email campaign and somebody might write you back and say, please unsubscribe or remove me from your mailing list. Okay. What I've seen some agents do is they'll go and they'll delete or they'll archive the contact thinking that they took care of the problem. The problem is you didn't. If you run another Facebook ad and that's where they came from and they once again get on there because they're looking for homes and houses, they could show up in your database again because Facebook does automatic lead gen for you. Okay. So I always like to show everybody that there is a do not contact option up here. That's what you want to do. Mark them as do not contact. Then you could archive them and it'd be okay. But this, as long as this is selected, command will literally prevent you from texting them via Twilio, from adding them to any marketing pieces, from sending them any emails whatsoever. So make sure that you do use that option. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and create that. All right. So we got Fred in there, Fred Mystery. He shows up as my next contact. And I'm going to do one more. And who do we have in there? It was what, Velma and Daphne, I think, were the, yeah, we'll do Daphne in there. I'm not sure if that's how you spell her name or not, but you guys get the idea. Again, I'll go ahead and put her, Daphne at Scooby-Doo. Okay, and this is where I mentioned those relationships would come in handy, okay? So I'm gonna say that, you know, Fred and Daphne are in a relationship, they're married, they're dating, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna add relationship, and notice when I click on this arrow for the type of relationship, there are a ton, gang. There's, you know, spouse, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, sibling, child. I can't even read them that fast, okay? If you don't know how to classify it, it's you've got an other. If it's two friends, you know, whatever, partner, etc. Okay, so don't worry that there's not a way to classify that relationship. Yeah, it cracks me up, they have other in there. So anyway, maybe I mean I say that, but hey, my son is college age. He just rooms up with his friends, so maybe he would be under an other category. So. So you have all the different relationships in there, but I'm going to go ahead and I'll just start typing Fred in here. Fred pops out, and now I can add him in that relationship. Okay. Again, I'll show you why that's going to save you time later on, but remember that we did that with those two. Okay. So again, step 2, put in the contacts. I've got Fred in there with his basic information. I've got Daphne in there with a minimum of an email address, I would say. And then I'll go ahead and create Daphne's card. An email field is invalid. Oh, I've got 2 G's, David. Sorry, I did Scooby-Doo.com. There we go. All right, so that was, again, going back to our 6 steps. 1, again, connect your command to DocuSign. Make sure you connect to DocuSign. Step 2, add those contacts in there. If you hadn't had them in there, put, you know, the maximum amount of information that you can in case you want to do some follow-up steps. Step number 3, now we're going to create our command opportunity. And we're going to include in that our document placeholders, okay? So again, I'm going to go over to the opportunities. Again, that's the shaking hands over here. Little tip for everybody, if you like seeing your menu options, you can always click on the red KW up at the top instead. Some people are okay with those little screen tips that pop out. Some people like to see the menu options, so you don't have to guess what the icons are. It's just a personal preference, but just so you know, you can cycle that red white KW.com on the top left on or off. So if you're the type of person likes your menu options, there you go. Okay. All right.
How do we get a do not call list?
What's that, Heather?
How do we get a do not call list?
How do you personally get a do not call list?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I would literally have to Google again. At one point in time, they had it all on one website where you could go and do that. I honestly don't even know how they're administering that on a national level anymore, because I have people calling me and I was on the original list, same number, and I still get phone calls at night, you know? So I'll be honest with you. I don't know. That's a great question. Remind me outside the class and I'll help you research it. How's that? We can go find that together. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and again, step 3, create our opportunity. That button is right up here on the top right-hand side. Going to go ahead and click on that. Now, before I get in there, take a look real quick. We've got listings available. Let me shrink our little headshots there on Zoom. They're kind of in the way of my menus. All right. So I've got listings, I've got the buyer's side, and I've got leases that I can be involved in. And each one of those is broken up into 5 steps. So you've got cultivate, appointment, active, then you get under contract, and then you close the deal. Okay. We'll talk about what those mean in more detail here in just a minute. Okay. But I want to bring up one thing real quick. We're pushing about 300 agents here now at KW Consultants, which is great. Honestly, I want to mention that I've seen everybody run how they do their compliance forms is usually falls within 2 different houses. Okay. You could have, if you're a solo agent, the thing to remember about a solo agent is you have to do everything. Okay. You have to do your relationships with your clients, the phone calls, the meetings, the open houses, okay, the marketing, the social media, all of that stuff, in addition to all your compliance forms. So some people are just very good at being meticulous and organized, that great. Some people not, okay? Some teams have an admin assistant or a marketing person to help out with some of the administrative stuff. That's great. If you have that manpower, per people power, or you have the time availability, a lot of people will do these opportunities and they will matriculate, sound like I'm in school, meticulously fill these out and update them as each little step happens, right? Like you get the earnest money, update that. We got a appointment set, schedule that in, put that in opportunities. And they're literally every little step of the way nurturing these opportunities along the way. And when they get done, then they'll submit all their compliance forms. If they've got the manpower and the time for that, that's great. All solo agents do not necessarily have to do that. What I see a lot of other people doing are you'll get through the whole deal and you'll do all that stuff. And then literally at the very end, that's why I get those phone calls I mentioned in the beginning. Now I'm going to just cram all my paperwork and my forms in here. I've got it all done. I just need to do all my paperwork now to kind of catch up on the deal. I'm going to submit all my compliance now and do all that at once. Okay. Gang, there's nothing wrong with either way. I'm not here to say the method that you handle your paperwork is right or wrong. It literally depends on how you're running your business. Like I mentioned, the time available, the manpower available, etc. I bring it up because I'm going to show you why in a minute. We saw these 5 stages right here, right? If I go in here and I click on create opportunity, let's go ahead and get into this window. All right, I've got Keller Williams Consultants. Yes, that's my market center. I'm not on a team, so I don't have to worry about this one. If I was, just make sure your team account selected. The opportunity type, again, you can choose listing, buyer, landlord, tenant, etc. if you're on either side of that leasing deal. I'll stick with listing for now. The owner, again, for me, but if you're on a team, that could be your rainmaker. The client, here's where that time saver tip comes in, right? I'm going to put it, oh, I said Frank. How about Fred? Sorry, we've been watching The Punisher, my stepson and I. So Frank Castle is his name. So Fred's on my mind. So there's Fred Mystery, right? And here's that time saver tip, okay? I have a co-seller. As soon as I click into that box, boom, they're connected by that relationship we did, remember? Daphne pops up right automatically, okay? Now, is it a big deal? Could I have started typing Daphne's name and she would have popped up? Yes, okay? But again, if I can save you any little bit of peace and time here and there, that will help you out. The other good thing about making the 2 contact cards, when we get into our DocuSign room, you're going to need the buyer and the seller and their agents' names and contact information. So go ahead and create that contact card. That's another reason why you want to do it here. Now it's in the contact card in command. It gets brought forward automatically into here, into the opportunity. And then when the opportunity creates the DocuSign room, it's going to pull all that info up there with it, okay? And those are the time-saving tips. This is where people get into trouble when they run into DocuSign. They start everything there. You have to create when we create the opportunity here and go to DocuSign, that room is going to be linked. If it was not created in command and you created it manually over here, guess what you get to do? You get to download all your documents and re-upload them if you're in Dotloop, or if you're in DocuSign, you get to move or copy all your documents over to the other room that is linked to this opportunity. There's no way to like back link, or you can't choose an opportunity and then go choose a room, okay? The opportunity creates the DocuSign room, okay? All right, so we got our client, we got our co-seller, our opportunity name, anything with a red asterisk in here, gang, that is a required field. So I do need an opportunity name. Some agents like to organize this by agent, or excuse me, not agent name, but your client names, because that's who you deal with. Lisa, who does our compliance here at Consultants, needs the address in there. I forget the name of the system they use. It always eludes me. But the one that she uses, they need the address in there to organize that. So you could put the address as the opportunity name, or if you do like having the client's name in there, I would just go ahead and say, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll add the client's name and the address, Mystery Lane. And we'll say they're, let's put them up in Powell, Ohio. Okay. So that way she can still organize that by the address, which she needs in her system. Okay. Opportunities do have custom tags that you can add, very similar to what we added in the contacts. Totally different though. This would be to organize your contacts and put your not your contacts, your opportunities into different groups. So again, what might you put here? Well, again, if you work with, VHA or HUD, or excuse me, VA loans, if you've got pre-approved people in there and your opportunities, whatever the case may be, short sales, foreclosures, etc., you could organize these opportunities as well. Okay. We'll leave it blank for now, but know that you can put that in there to help organize. The estimated close date, again, we're just practicing here, but I'm going to go ahead and just bump that up 2 months. What's today? 23rd. Oh, hey, August 23rd, literally, it's closing out. That's my birthday. Yoo-hoo. Okay, so we are closing this deal no later than my birthday. That'd be a great birthday present to get a commission off of this thing. And now that I know it's my birthday, I'm going to say it's a very expensive house. Let's go $500,000. So you want to put your listing price in there, commission rate, standard 3%. Now let's talk about those different phases, those 5 phases that we had in the background, and why I even brought up the 2 different ways that people do their paperwork, okay? Notice when I go here to the opportunity phase, right? If I click on that arrow or that menu, I'm going to see that the cultivate, the appointment, and the active are there. I'm trying to scroll right now. There are no closing or excuse me, there's no contract or closing. You guys see that? Okay. That's why I brought that up, because I have people that go in and they try and again, it's okay, but they put all their paperwork and they do all their compliance all at one time. And then when they try and come in here and create the opportunity, they try and go to and contract or close. You can't, not from here. Okay. So the most you can go to is active. All right. So keep that in mind. It's okay though, because you can easily I'll show you how to move them later. You just move the opportunities from phase to phase. It's no big deal. But if you're doing that, that's the type of person you are as far as submitting your stuff. You can only go to active. All right. So let's look at these different phases though. Each phase actually has different opportunities as well. So under cultivate, you've got some stages. You've got watch, nurture, and hot. Now, the minute I meet someone like Heather, you said you've met some people at networking events, etc. The minute that I meet somebody and I've spoken to them about real estate, I could create an opportunity and I could put them under watch. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people do that in case something comes to fruition. They've already got an opportunity started for them. Some people, so I say that to say none of these, watch, nurture, or hot, has like a hard, fast definition to it. Okay. What I've heard a lot of agents do is they consider hot the minute somebody announces their intention, I'm in the market to buy a house, or we want to sell our home within the next 12 months, right? Like they have stated, I am in the game now, right? Basically, then they put them in the hot market. Okay. So that's one suggestion that you could do for that. All right. Under cultivate. Under appointments, this one's a little easier. Under appointments, you're scheduling appointments for them, or you have scheduled an appointment for them. And best case scenario, if you schedule an appointment, then they kept the appointment. Okay, so that's your 3 steps under appointments. Pretty straightforward on those ones. And then under active, we've got 3 different options as well. You could be in the staging portion. You could be showing them, or you could have literally, they picked a house and you're literally entering into negotiations right now. So I'm going to say we're at that point right now, just for the sake of doing this opportunity. What's that?
I lost something. How did you get to staging? What was that under?
Each of these opportunity phases right here, Heather, the opportunity phases, cultivate, appointment, and active, each one has 3 different stages over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was under active?
And so, yeah, the staging is under active. Under active, we've got staging, showing, you're doing showings, or you've actually entered into negotiations. Okay. And that's how you can kind of track those along. Again, if you're one of those meticulous people moving through all the different stages. Now, the other thing that does, I'm going to go ahead and create this opportunity now that we've got all the info we need. Okay. And you'll notice that it creates the opportunity with the opportunity name. There's our Fred Mystery, 1234 Mystery Lane in Powell. I've got my contacts here, Fred Mystery, Daphne Mystery. I could click on those. It just take me back to the contacts. Again, I'm not an agent, but if I was, gang, here's where you could select your listing from the MLS and literally link the listing to the opportunity. You are going to want to do that. I'm going to click on it just so you can see the window. You'll notice that you can search by street address, but if I pull down that, I can also search by MLS number if you ever have problems with that pulling up. Okay. You'll see I've got a couple different things here. One, I've got an address for a place that I do. Nothing will show up to me, gang. I do not have any listings, again, because I'm not an agent. So it wouldn't matter what I typed in. Nothing's going to show up in that list. I don't have any listings assigned to me. Okay. But I do want to bring up, because we've had this happen with other agents, if you ever get on a listing that's a new build, or maybe it's in a new subdevelopment or something that they just started, subdivision, etc., and you type in the address and it does not show up, no matter whether you do the address or the MLS, you'll notice I have it right here. Start typing just a bunch of gobbledygook. I hate to say that, but put your fingers on your home keys and just start typing like this. It will recognize that it's not able to find the address, and a little menu pop option is going to pop down, and it's going to say add address manually. Okay, so keep that in mind. I know it's a weird workaround. It took us a while to find that workaround for that. But if you ever have that happen, again, it's more common for new builds or brand new developments that the address just isn't in the MLS yet. So if that ever happens, do that, and then you can manually punch in the address info. Okay. All right, I'll close that window. Now, if I did select that address from the linking the listing to it, then this information down here on the bottom for the opportunity, the property info would get filled in. Okay, you can see over on the left-hand side under general information, all the stuff that I put in there in that opportunity box is there. There's our closing date. There's our total asking price, my commission rate. And the cool thing is it already figures out your commission for you automatically. So based on that price and that commission, I'm looking at a $15,000 cut. Of course, again, it depends if you're capped or not capped, if you do a split with another agent or a dual deal, whatever the case may be. But that is basically the commission that's going to be available. Okay. If you ever need to come in here and update some of this info, you can totally do that. Any of the pencil buttons are always your edit buttons. If I click on general information, the pencil, it just takes me right back to that screen where I can enter in more information. You see like appointments, schedule, the actual appointment date, etc. There's some more stuff on there than what we saw before. Same thing here with the property. Again, this would be filled out once you link in the property, but if you needed, if something was missing or need to update it, you could come in here as well. Okay. All right, so that's the details area of the opportunity, gang. What we want to do to finish out our step is to go over here and actually get these document placeholders set up. Now, this was the smacking my head portion that I mentioned before. We had some agents that came in and they did exactly what I taught them to do, right? They came in, they put their contacts in, they verified they're connected to DocuSign, they go in and they create the opportunity, verify the details, they link the listing, everything's good to go. I came over here to documents and where's my freaking documents, right? So nothing there. Please remember every market center is different. So what you need to do is select what type of checklist you want. Over here on the left-hand side, it says pick your checklist type. Now, I've had a ton of people tell me, why don't they do it as by residential as default, and whoever's not residential has to choose something else. Fortunately, that's above my pay grade. We can put a suggestion in for that. But you do need to come over here, and you notice when I click on that menu, it gives me the options for residential or commercial. Obviously, we're doing a residential sign. We do have Troy and his team, some other agents that do commercial. So we're going to click on residential. And then boom, here we go. You'll see basically 3 different folders pop out over here. Okay. We've got a listed folder, an under contract folder, and a closed folder over here on the left-hand side. Sorry, I had to move our Zoom window again. On each one of these, right now I'm selected the listed. So if I look over on the right-hand side, these are our required documents. Now, it's not the documents, it's the placeholders for the documents. Nothing is actually here yet. But what it's telling you is this is your checklist for the documents that you need for this type. Remember, we're doing the listing side, so we're helping the sellers out, right? It would be a little bit different possibly if you chose the buyers or the leasing portions, okay? So the market center is already set up what's required. Those are in red. It says required on there, okay? Things like your consumer guide to agency, your residential worksheet, MLS printout. I've had a lot of people, they forget to do those. Just remember when you're in the MLS, you can immediately go to print that MLS and just save it as a PDF. Okay, it's the easiest way to do it. I've had people that have literally printed the MLS page, brought it to the office, scanned it into the copy machine so they could get a PDF when all they really ever needed to do was print a PDF. Okay, save yourself those tips and a trip to the office. Not that I don't like seeing your smiling faces all the time, but I want you to be able to do quickly and effectively. Okay. RPDs and everything else under there. Okay. So the red one's required. The orange ones are conditional. Okay. There may be a condition that needs to be met in order for that form to be needed or required. You can see one of the more common ones, of course, is the lead paint disclosure form, okay? And then there's some optional ones that show up in yellow, okay? So again, gang, this is our listed documents when we get under contract. If I go over here on the left again, click on under contract, there's some other things in there, okay? Some addendums, deposit notification, etc. And on the close folder, the last one over there, we've got the settlement statement, final DA. And then if you have a referral agreement, you know, again, if you get into a multi-agent scenario on that deal, okay? So we're good on this one, right? We have created our opportunity. We put all the details we needed to. We came over here and we chose the residential type. So now that our document placeholders show up, okay? That was step number 3, create your command opportunity, including your document placeholders, all right? So now we're on step 4. Step 4, put on the screen there. I was way over here, you can even see it. Just putting that there for the people on the recording. Step 4, so now we're gonna link to our DocuSign room and we're gonna add our required compliance forms or documents, okay? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, isn't that what they say? So remember, these are placeholders for forms. Now we gotta go get the form. So I'm just gonna go up here and I'm gonna click on start a transaction. This is usually when people find out that they're either connected or not connected to DocuSign, which is why we went through that whole step number 1, all right? So click on start a transaction. Now, again, for me, because I teach both, I'm connected to both DocuSign and Dotloop. You would just automatically do start a transaction. It'll go to DocuSign for you. I just need to click on it and it's going to do the same thing it would for you. Give it a second. There we go. And it is now linking me over to DocuSign. Now, if you haven't signed into DocuSign for the day, it may ask you to sign in. No big deal. Okay. I think I've signed in multiple times today, so it's just let me right in there. So we are in now our DocuSign room. Remember, the command opportunity creates and links to the DocuSign room. If you go to DocuSign first and do all this ahead of time, you're going to have to redo the whole process when you go and you create your command opportunity. Always start everything in command, gang, okay? So you'll notice it's very similar. It's got the same exact name, right? Fred Mystery, 1234 Mystery Lane. We're in the documents area and there's no documents there yet. We'll get to that, all right? What I want to do is, again, you've got some menu items up here on the top, details, documents, people, envelopes. We're going to go over to the details area. And just to show you what I mentioned before, right? We created the contacts, so it would pull into the opportunity, so it would pull into the DocuSign room. Now, notice all the info is right over here. There's Fred Mystery. There's his email address, or if I would have filled out more of that contact card, there would have been more stuff here. There's Daphne with her email address, and there's me as the listing agent for the seller side, okay? If I had the information for, and there's a space there for an additional listing agent. If I had the information for the buyer, if they were in my contacts, I could have put them over in the opportunity, it would have carried forward, or I can add it here to the DocuSign room. I've got buyer 1, buyer 2 over there on the right-hand side, or up to space for 2 agents for the buyer side as well, okay? So the other thing that you can do is the DocuSign room. It has place for a bevy of information, gang. It's not all required. Again, some people like to fill it out, be very meticulous, have good, records, etc. And some people, just want to put like the minimum amount of stuff I need to do to get my paperwork done and get my commission. Okay. Again, either way is okay. All right. You guys are chuckling because I know you've probably done the same exact thing. All right. So several different areas. You got some additional room information. I'm just looking over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to scroll down. Location, that is red and an asterisk, so that is required. Now, remember, if you would have linked the listing, I couldn't because I'm not an agent. I didn't have any listings, but if you would have linked your listing, it would have filled out that address information and the opportunity. This would be filled out for you automatically. So just check it when you come in, okay? You know that it's the one required area in the DocuSign room, but just check it, okay? It should be there, but just make sure that it is. Down below, you've got some listing details. Again, if any of this was in the opportunity, it would have come forward. Or as you update the information, you can resync the transaction and it'll add this information into the room. And I'll show you how to do that here shortly. Okay. High bid information. You've got some closing details, everything just working through that process, right? Additional information and the property details. That's just straight out of the MLS, bedrooms, bathrooms, acreage, square footage, etc. Okay. So I do need to do this location one. That is required for me to complete my forms and get this done in DocuSign. So to do that, no big deal. I've got an edit button on the top right. I'll click on that. You see this basically turns into a form. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that information. What do we say? Mystery Lane. All right. I think I put us in Powell, not Dublin this time. County. We're still in Franklin. Oops. State, the good old state of Ohio. Whoops. Scrolling too hard there. Postal, I don't even know what Powell's postal code is. I'll just put a Dublin one. All right. Property type. Okay. This is where you would choose, you know, commercial, etc. I like to bring this up one as well because I've had people do land purchases. This is where you would categorize that as land. We're going to go residential detached for now. Year built. Usually I do superheroes here, and I always say they blow up their headquarters every movie or two. So I'm going to make this a fairly new home. Let's just say like 2018. And even though I don't need it, I just want to show you it's there. You do have some special circumstances you can categorize this by as well. If you have like an estate sale, foreclosure, HUD, a relocation, or a short sale, this is where you could classify that as well. Okay. So that's all I do. I'd hit that edit button. I'd come up here and I would put in any required information I needed. Again, you should have that in there. If you linked your listing down on the bottom right, I've got a save button. I'll just click on that. And now, boom, my room has been updated. You'll notice there it is. Okay. So I'm going to go in my room details now. That's the minimum that I need at this point in time. All right. So to finish out this step, we need to go and get our documents. That's what we were here for. All right. So to get your documents, you come up here on the top left. You got details, documents, people, envelopes, etc. We're going to click on documents. Obviously, there's nothing in that room just yet. Oh, and don't get caught up on the name, gang. DocuSign uses rooms. .loop uses loops. All it is a folder for your files. That's all it is. Okay. So don't ever let that trip you up. We're going to come over here on the top right again, click on the add button. And there's multiple locations that I can pull these forms from. Okay. Notice down at the bottom, you've got like Box, Dropbox. If somebody sends you something on a Google Drive or it's on your Google Drive. I've got people that get stuff emailed all the time. Sometimes like your title agency might send you something you need. You just download it on your computer and you can click on computer. So all those different options that get the forms from different places, but we're going to go to DocuSign Forms. Now, before I click on that, I need to bring one thing up. If, again, for the brand new agents that might see this recording or R1s, or this is just your first deal, even if you've been here for a little bit, when I click on that thing for the very first time, it's going to ask me for what's called an NRDS number. Does anybody remember seeing those? Probably right when you did your test and you got your license from the National Association of Realtors. That just identifies you as a real estate agent, okay? So when I click, I won't see it again. That's why I bring it up, because when I click on this, it goes straight to the forms. But if it's your first time, it's going to first ask you to identify as a realtor, or I honestly don't remember. It's been so long, almost a year. There's another option. There's a second option, and I don't remember what it is. I'll be honest with you. But you're a realtor, so definitely identify as a realtor. And when you identify as a realtor, it's going to ask for your NRDS, or we call it your NERDS number. If you ever hear say your NERDS number, that's what we're talking about. And they should have sent you an email. But if they didn't, don't worry about it. In that same box, you've got two options. One, will you please email me a new NERDS number? And they will. Or continue without a NERDS number, and you can add it later on, okay? If you don't want to wait for that email to continue setting up your documents and stuff, okay? So just to let everybody know, and again, you only have to do it one time. Once you do, then when you click on DocuSign Forms, you're going to get what I get, okay? Now, this is where all the different forms that are available to you are located. You've got groups over on the left and libraries over on the left, okay? If I look over here under libraries, I click on CBOR, that's our Columbus Board of Realtors. I believe they got like 78, 80 different forms. I could certainly, scroll down to my heart's content looking for everything. If I just wanted to, use the search function, I could start typing in like seller, and it just pops up with the seller stuff for me, okay? So a couple of different ways that you can search there. Same thing with KW330. That is our KW Consultants Market Center. And you'll see some of the stuff there. Consumer Guide to Agency, your agency disclosure forms, RPDs are in there as well, okay? The cool thing, gang, is what the Market Center has done for us locally is they've broken up kind of the buyers and the sellers process into those categories that we saw back here in Command. Remember when we first chose residential? And over here on the left, we've got listed, under contract, and closed. Each one had different documents available or required. Well, that's what they've done. You can see it over here under buyers, okay? I can't even read that. It won't let me resize that. So that says consultation. Maybe
Consultant.
yeah, that's what I was assuming. Then you're under contract, and then some of the optional ones. Same thing on the seller side, right? Listed, under contract, optional, etc. So we did the seller side. So I can just go over here instead of like searching for all these, like if I was missing something, sure, I could come over here and search for it, but I'll just click on seller one. Well, there's exclusive right to the sell, listing, consumer guide to agency. There's my initial RPD. Boom, 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 right? So that's what you would do. Just go in, find the forms that you need for the phase that you were in. If you're an agent, you're just cramming everything in at once. You might need to grab them from all three of the different areas. You're listed, you're under contract, and any optional ones like the lead paint form. Geez, say that 5 times fast. So select those and then click add select, and it's going to take those forms, it's going to add it to your DocuSign documents. Okay. And you can see they all popped in there. If you just wanted to review it just to make sure, hey, is this the right form? I could always pop in here like my consumer guide to agency relationship. I just click on it. That's all I did. It's just pulling up a PDF preview for me right now so I can go in and take a peek at it. There we go. Consumer guide to agency. It's got our logo on there for compliance. Good. Down below, got blah, 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 a lot of information. And then, of course, you've got some signature and date areas, okay, like any other form. Now, the cool thing is, remember, we added our contact information, we added our opportunity information, all that information got pulled into the DocuSign room. Anything that did get pulled in, that info, it's already filling out the form for you. There's the address, there's the city and the state and the zip code already filled in for you, okay? So the more information that you actually fill out on the forefront on those, that's why people ask me, well, why would I ever want to put more than the minimum amount required? Well, because that's the minimum amount to do the opportunity or the room. But on the forms, you might need some other information, okay? The other thing that you can do, gang, and I'm probably going to do a class on this summer, you can do pre-made templates, static templates, where you've gone in and you've already filled in some of your basic information. Could be your contact information, could be the market center information. If you're on your team, you put your team info, and then save those so that you don't have to go and put all that information in here now. So those templates are great time savers too, okay? All right, let me get out of that for a second. And back to our steps. We said that was, excuse me, step 4, that was linked to our DocuSign room and then add our required documents, right? So we're good. We're not going to do all of them, but you guys get the idea. We got 4 forms in there. I know we're going to need. Step 5 is to create your DocuSign envelope, how we're going to send these to our clients, and then collect the e-signatures from our clients, okay? Sorry, my phone's blowing up. All right, so I'm just going to grab a couple of these. I'll grab Consumer Guide to Agency. Notice when I click or pause my mouse over here, you get these little circles, right? That's how you can select each of these. So I'll just click on that to select it. And when I do, a menu pops up here, okay? And I've got several different options. I'll do the Consumer Guide to Agency. Let's grab the RPD as well, just for fun. If you think that's fun, there might be something wrong. No, I'm just kidding. So once I've got those selected, I've got the menu, several options up here. I can copy this. That's why I brought it up earlier. If you went into DocuSign.com initially and created all this, then you did the opportunity. You're going to need to move or copy these over. So I could copy, I could move. There's the email option. Sometimes you do just need to email the blank form to somebody. Again, maybe the mortgage company, the title agency, etc. There's combined documents. You can actually merge those PDFs together, which is an option you can do. There's our create envelope option. And then if you decide you don't need these later on, you can archive them, unarchive them, or delete them as well, okay? We want to create an envelope because we want to put some interactive fields on here. We want to send them to our clients, get e-signatures, and get them back, all right? So we're going to go over here to, it looks like the little fountain pen, the create envelope, and I'll click on that. That's going to take me to the envelope creation area. Excuse me, gang. You teach all day, you do get dry mouth. All right, so envelope name, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'll just put Fred Mystery in here for the envelope name. I would normally put the address in there as well. In this one, I actually do recommend putting the client name in there because if you get in a multi-bid situation, you may actually set up multiple envelopes for the same deal, okay? So we've got the name of the envelope. There's the forms. Again, I could click on them to view them. If I needed to go back to the room and get other docs, I could click on room docs. If I wanted to use one of those static templates I mentioned, I could do that. Or if I click on more, I can do the same things I mentioned before, upload from my computer, go to Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive, okay? To pull stuff in here. All right, add recipients to the envelope. We're going to click on that down there, and we actually get 3 different options. I will tell you right now, I'm going to recommend anytime, unless for whatever weird reason it doesn't let you do it, choose option number 1, pre-tagged roles, okay? Now, room participants allows you to choose from the DocuSign room, right? And we had 3 contacts in there initially, right? There was Fred, there was Daphne, and there was me as the agent, okay? Email address. Again, I could literally manually punch in an email address. Here's what pre-tagged roles does for you. When you click on that, it allows you to, on all of your forms, each one is going to have a designated area for seller 1, seller 2, right? Already like programmed into the form. Same thing for the buyer side, same thing for the agents. So what this does is it matches an exact name to that role. Now, no matter what form you put in there, and it's got seller 1, Fred's going to show up as seller 1. If I designate Daphne is seller 2, she will always come into any form whatsoever I put in here as seller number 2, okay? So I'm going to click on that, and here's exactly what I'm talking about, right? We've got 4 forms available, buyer 1, buyer 2, seller 1, seller 2, okay? And we are on, we did listing side, sorry. So sellers on this one. So I'm going to say seller 1, and I'm going to click on this menu, and you can see, because I did bring their contact information forward, I'm going to designate Fred Mystery as seller number 1. All right, seller 2. Let's go to the flip side there, put Daphne in there. All right, and add selected. And as soon as I do that, give it a second here. Take a second. There we go. Which has a little delay there. There's my contacts, right? Add recipients to envelope. I've got Fred Mystery in there with his email address. I've got Daphne in there with her email address. This is where I have a lot of agents find out that they didn't enter in email addresses for their contacts as well. Now, you could put them here, but that doesn't fix the ultimate problem that you didn't have an email address. If you have the email address, go put it in the contact, make sure that it's updated in the opportunity, and then sync transaction. Anytime you add up information to command, and you want that information from command to come forward into DocuSign, you click on the sync transaction button right here, gang, okay? And it just takes all that information, plops it into DocuSign for you. All right, so a couple different things you can do. You want to choose what action they need to take. Now, the default is needs a sign, right? That you would think that's obvious. But let's say, you know, maybe Daphne is, you know, the title agency or whatever, or maybe Fred's doing the decisions and he's got to, you know, sign it and Daphne just needs to review it. I've got options for needs to view, receives a copy, or specify recipient. That's there because some teams, the rainmaker has to choose what the permission levels are. So I would, like, Michelle, if I was on your team and you were my rainmaker, I would go in here, specify recipient, and I would say Michelle Costner, and boom, you would get a notice that, hey, David's asking you to, you know, tell what everybody needs to do because you're running that team, okay? Under the more option, we've got some things here for say this 5 times fast, add access authentication. It's a passcode, okay? And then also a private message. So before I am going to do that, but before I do that, notice these numbers over on the left-hand side. If I were to send these, they both came out as a 1 at first. They would both get the email. They'd both be told they need to go e-sign a document, and both of them would have access to go do it at the same time. It does not need to go in any certain order, okay? If for whatever reason Fred needed to go do it first, I would change Daphne to a 2. And now Daphne won't even get that email until Fred's done with either signing or reviewing whatever I chose for his action, okay? And you can have multiple people. If I've got 4 people in this, I've got the buyers and the sellers, I could have 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s, okay? Put my 2 buyers first, or sellers first, buyers, whatever order you needed to do it in, okay? So because Fred, I need him to do everything first, I'm going to add an access authentication code. I'll make it super hard here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Really hard to crack that one, right? And then because I gave him a passcode, that this is not required. I know it is on some of the commercial deals. So you may or may not have to do this, but because I did give him a passcode, I'm going to make sure I let him know in a private message, Fred, your passcode is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sure there's not a hacker in the world that'll crack that. Okay. Now the private message is only going to go to Fred. Okay. So I've got both of them with their email addresses. Fred set up with a passcode. I've got to private message him to let him know what that is, or whatever I might need to tell Fred, or if I need to let Daphne know something. The last thing is a message to all the recipients. I'm going to ask them to please sign your e-documents and just let them know, hey guys, Fred needs to review and sign first. That way Daphne's not clueless. She's wondering, hey, David said he sent the stuff. How come it's not here yet? Well, it's because Fred hasn't finished up yet, okay? So that's our 4 steps in the envelope, gang. All I need to do now is send it off to these guys. Now, the cool thing is I can do a couple other things. If somebody needed to review this, or some people like to set up their envelopes ahead of time, and they come back and finish them. You can always save and close this and work on it later, or have a Rainmaker review it, okay? If I click on next, though, it doesn't just send it right away. What it's going to do is it's going to take whatever number or amount of forms that I had in that envelope, and now it's going to walk me through the process of putting in those interactive fields, okay? So we know from like the Consumer Guide to Agency, if I scroll down, we previewed that one earlier. We know for a fact there's some signature blocks needed there. So first name, you'll notice up here on the top, Fred Mystery is in yellow. I'm just gonna, you've got all these signature fields, signatures, initials, date, sign, name, email. Here's check boxes. Sometimes you need to put a check box on a form. Check boxes allow you to select multiple things. Radio buttons only allow you to select one or the other, by the way. That's the difference on those, okay? So I'm just going to click and hold my mouse down and drag it over here. Being a marketing guy, I'm kind of OCD, so I'm going to line that up nice and pretty, hopefully as best I can. All right, then I've got a date sign. I'm going to drag that over, okay? So there's Fred stuff because Fred's in yellow, but where's Daphne? Well, if I click on this menu, there's Daphne in blue. So I could click on Daphne, notice all the fields change to blue, okay? Let's say you forgot to do that. If I drag a signature field over here for Daphne, it shows up yellow. Well, we know that's Fred, right? I could do one of two things. Anytime I drag those fields over on the right, I get some formatting options. And notice that that one also says Fred. So with that one still selected, I could just click on this down arrow and there's Daphne, and I can just change it. Oops, I goofed up. No big deal. Boom, change it to Daphne, okay? Or I could come up here to the top where Fred was and choose Daphne, so that all the standard fields turn to blue. Now, when I drag over her signature, it's going to be in blue, okay? Along with every other one that I do for her. And I might need, I don't know, maybe I need, just to show you some examples, you know, there's a text box you can add and resize. Over on the right under the formatting options, I can change font sizes, you know, basic text stuff. Put one over there for Fred as well, okay? Any of the stuff that you need to add to their forms. Each form is unique and individualized, of course. All right. So that's those ones. I think we did 2 forms, right? So I'm gonna have to scroll through. What was the other one we had? Yeah, we've got our RPD down there. There we go. Now remember, because I did assign their roles, now it automatically said, well, here's the owner's initials. It already put some of the stuff in there for me. So that's another reason why those pre-tag roles are so good, because now, not just on the information side, but when I need an initials or signatures, as soon as I do the first ones, it takes a look at that and it says, oh, well, Fred's yellow and Daphne's blue. It's going to fill some stuff in. Here's some examples of where you might need those check marks, right? Water supply, sewer systems, etc. Here's some examples of where you might need the radio buttons, choose yes or no. You notice all those boxes are there, yellow and blue for Fred and Daphne. All the way down, I'll just get down to the bottom here. And should be there. Yeah, there's our last portion of signatures, etc. I can always move these around if it puts the defaults in. Like I said, being a marketing guy, I'm a little OCD about, you know, just being a little organized. So I might make it a little neater, etc. Okay, but you guys get the idea. All right. So then I could do a couple.
That's a huge time saver.
What's that, Michelle?
I said that's a huge time saver. I'm glad you showed me that.
Huge. If you don't do the pre-tagged roles, you're going to have to drag over every single one. Do the pre-tagged roles, and as soon as you pop that first one in, it knows Fred is the yellow guy, and everything where owner one, boom, that's all Fred now. Yeah, big time saver. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I'm glad that helped. Couple different things I can do here. Again, I could always do a recipient preview. This is exactly how Fred and I was going to say Fred Woolman, like the French stuff. Fred and Daphne are going to see this, and I like to show this to everybody because there's a very important distinction here. Right? Fred was yellow and Daphne was blue, right? So here we go. I'm viewing as up here on the top left, Fred. So when I click on the yellow start, it goes down, there's a yellow signature. If I just click on each of these, right, I sign it and I go down, it's gonna have me fill in this info. I can keep clicking, or I could manually scroll down, either way. But basically all his stuff is in blue, right? All right, so now I'm gonna go over here and there's Daphne in blue, right? I'm gonna check out Daphne's and check out all her blue stuff. Anybody see a problem? All of Daphne's stuff is yellow. Okay, gang. The blue and the yellow, that is just for you to keep them straight in DocuSign, okay? When everybody gets their stuff, it's always going to be yellow. They're always going to see yellow, okay? Remember I mentioned you could have like 2 sellers, 2 buyers. You could have yellow, blue, green, purple on there back in DocuSign. That is literally just to help you create the forms and keep them organized while you're doing that. When they get them, everybody will see yellow, okay? I've had people ask me about that. I've had agents that didn't know that, and they'll say, hey, Daphne, make sure you sign the blue stuff. Daphne gets it, and she's calling the agent back saying, I don't have any blue stuff. You better resend it to me. And then I get a call saying, hey, DocuSign's not working properly, okay? So gang, all those different colors just for you. Everybody, as they receive it, will see yellow, okay? Always like to bring that up. All right, so now that we got our forms done, we put our interactive stuff in there and everything, we're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and click on the send button and it's gonna send that information. Now, because we did do that in order, like I said, there's our envelope. It says it's waiting on others right now. So Fred needs to go and do his part before Daphne can go do hers. At any point in time, I can still come in here and I can click on this envelope and check out the current status. And there we go. Seller 1, Fred, he needs a sign. Daphne needs a sign. Let's say this happens. Let's say I send it off to them and then either I realize or one of them says, oh, did you make sure to send the lead paint form? Oops, I forgot. All right. Now, remember, this is a legal document. All right. So here's the key to correcting it, not having to go doing it all over again. As long as nobody has e-signed yet, if these both still say need to sign, or all of them, I should say, you can go over here and you can click on the correct button. If I do that now, if I click on correct, it's going to take me back to the envelope, because the first thing it's going to ask is, did you need to add new forms? Did you need to do a template? Did you need to change some of these recipients or permissions, the message, etc.? All right. And then the next thing I can do is edit signing fields. Because what if they came back and say, hey, I got the stuff, but there was no initial in the one box. Okay. You didn't put an interactive form for me or something. This just takes me right back to the forms again, and I could edit this just like it did in the first place, gang. Okay. So don't ever stress. I've had people that go back and they will literally delete an envelope and do it all over again. You do not have to do that as long as they have not e-signed yet. Hopefully that'll save you some time too. You just come in there, you correct the room documents, you correct the forms, and then I click on continue. All right. Takes me back to the room and it's ready to send. I just click on send again and boom, whatever corrections I made are going to be fixed. And because they didn't sign it, it goes off and it sends it to them again. If one person signs that, then you have to delete the room. Okay. Again, legal documents, legally binding documents. You can't like, oh, Fred signed his, I'm going to go change them around and now Daphne can sign them. Fred has to be in on the changes. Okay. So they would get the envelopes. They would be instructed that they have to go and e-sign these. They would, go in, hopefully, let's say best case scenario, everything works just fine. Sorry, I know we're running a little over here, gang. I'll try and finish up here quick. I'm going to bounce back here to command. Now, they did make a change recently on DocuSign. I tell you this because when I was teaching before, I could have envelopes that were not approved or signed yet, and I could still pull them into command. They recently made a change literally last week, and I can't do that anymore. So I'm going to actually switch gears here and go back to a different opportunity that I've already done the signing on. And I think it's under here for Avengers Mansion. Yeah, there we go. All right, you guys get the idea though. Same kind of thing as we did before. All right. Let me move that Zoom thing. There we go. So here we are. We're just waiting on our signatures, right? Okay. Create your DocuSign envelope and collect your e-signatures from your clients. That was step 5. Step 6, now we just link those documents into command, submit it to the market center, get our commission. Okay. So here's how we do that, gang. I'm going to go over here and again, over on the left, I'm in residential. I've got my listed, under contract, and closed areas. I've done those forms. I've sent them off. I've got my signatures. I'm going to go in here and now I need my, I don't know, let's say our RPD, okay, or Consumer Guide to Agency, add a file. I'm not even sure which ones I have in here, to be honest with you. but we'll make it work. So when you come into this to add the file, remember you're linking the approved or the signed document from DocuSign into Command. Now, if you had to upload a file manually, I do have a manual option. I could click on this and it'd say, hey, where's your file? Okay. Or if I click on DocuSign, here's the cool thing. All my forms show up. There you go. I got 3 different ones. Yeah. So I've got an agency disclosure form. There's a signed one right there. Looks like I've got a purchase contract, etc. Okay. So which one was I totally forgot which one I did. Consumer guide to agency. Yep. Let's go ahead and add that in. All right. I'll choose DocuSign. I'll add that in there. Oh, whoops. Let's grab the signed one. Say assign. And a couple things change as soon as that document gets pulled in, right? One, rather than saying not uploaded, now it says uploaded, okay? The file name now shows up over here on the right-hand side, right? Agency disclosure signed.pdf. Also, the minute I put my very first form on there, this button shows up, submit to Market Center, okay? So that's all I would do, gang. I would continue this process with all the forms that I get signed and done. And you can do them a couple different ways. I can click over here on the right to the add a file, and I would do it one file at a time. All right. However, a lot of people do these as a group. Maybe you did all 6 required forms, or maybe you got the whole thing done. You can always come over here and say attach multiple files. And when I click on DocuSign, it shows me all the required and the optional forms that I need for that particular phase. And when I come over and click on it, I know it's not the residential worksheet, but when I click on the menu, there's all the different forms that I had in DocuSign Sign. I would click on that, and then I could just do it in one window. Boom, 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 right? All 6 forms at a time, attach them all. Now I've got all 6 right here, okay? Lisa has verified with me. I have agents ask all the time, should I do one form, one section, or one folder of the form, submit those? You gotta wait till the whole thing is done. Some people have preferences that way. Lisa's preference, because she's the one that's reviewing your compliance form, is once you've got one folder done, or even if you got one and you're waiting on something else, go ahead and submit it to the Market Center. It gives her more time to do a thorough review for you to make sure that she's accurate and doesn't miss anything for you, okay? I guarantee if you put it in at the end of the month or when they do the, oh my gosh, I forgot the thing they do.
Transmittal.
Thank you, transmittal. When they do the transmittal, they always lock the door for like 3 days and you never see them. And it's very hard to get anything through, but anytime around that, they're probably like slammed and they're trying to rush through stuff. So I always tell everybody, put it in. If you're going to do a whole folder, put in a folder. If you get a significant item like a contract, put that in, let them approve that. And what you'll see is the status over here will change, okay? See, where was he? Right here. Approved is the best one. It'll show up in green. Returned, it'll show up in red, and it'll probably have a note from Lisa, hey, you forgot a date on such and such a form, okay? So then you would have to go back to DocuSign and make those changes and then resubmit it again, okay? So that would be the process of just getting those forms in there, game. Once I do that, whether it's one section or the whole deal is done, I've got my listed under contract, my closed folder, everything's done, submit that to the Market Center. Once all that comes back approved, then you're good to go on all your compliance. Now, you do not have to wait on that to go do this next part. This used to be what was called the green sheets. If any of you remember those, what they've done is they pulled out the offers and commissions over here into a whole nother tab at the top, right? We're in documents now, going to go to offers and commissions. Thanks, Heather. Now, you'll notice I've got a couple offers that I put in here, but I want to show you how to do a new one, okay? You could end up in a multi-bid situation where you get multiple offers. So I'm going to just click on add new offer. Okay. If you only have one, I tell everybody, yeah, just leave it as initial offer 3. But since I'm in a multi-bid, I'm going to go ahead and put initial offer Fred Mystery. I may need to compare these with my clients later on, see which one I want to take. So I'll create the offer, and what it does is it takes you can see the steps up top, right? Your initial offer, it's a 4-step process. You give the offer details, the parties involved, the terms, and then the agent analysis, okay? And this is how you, ultimately, when you're done with this and all the stuff is approved, then you get your commission, okay? So the offer date is on there, the close date is on there. Those look good. If you need to change them, you just click on the calendars and you can update those. I'm going to click on the parties. That'll take me to step 2. This is where I would definitely need to come in and put the buyer's information, the seller's information, and the agents. At a minimum, you need the name. So this one was Tony Stark. I don't know, we'll put Bruce Banner, was the buyer on this one. I'm there to to represent them. So let's just say Steve Rogers, good old Captain America, is over on the other side of the deal. He's a nice guy. I do business with him. Then I click on the, fill in the information, the contact info. I'll click on terms to go to the next one. Now, on this one gets a little weird. Now, the sales price, you cannot put an item in here. You can't put a number in here, okay? The sales price is actually auto-calculated from the cash put down or the finance amount. So I said this was a $500,000 deal. I'll just say, we assume they finance it all. So you notice as soon as I type that in, sales price automatically calculated. But if I come over here and I say, hey, they threw down, 10,000 in cash. Okay. If I left this at 500,000, that would have jacked up the price, right? It's a combination of the both. So I would actually need to change this one because they're only financing $490,000 now. Okay, so just remember that this one is auto-generated. You can't type in that number. Same thing for the earnest amount. You can either type in the amount or the percentage. So if they put down, $2,000, it tells me, it auto-calculates, hey, they threw down 0.4%, okay? But if I come in here and I just say, oh, I can't remember the amount, but I knew that they did 0.5 on that, that tells me they put in $25,000 for earnest money, okay? And then there's some optional stuff down there below, the optional fees, termination, seller costs, etc. I'll click on agent analysis, and this is where you can kind of put in the pros and cons. Now, if it's a one bid deal, one and done, and you're good, you do not have to fill this out. However, if you do get into a multi-bid situation, you're taking multiple offers, this might be where you want to put something like pros. Put down 20, these guys put down 25K in cash, right? Cons, not pre-approved, right? That's a con. And so you just kind of build those out, because what's nice is later on when you look at all the offers, you can create a sheet that have all the pros and cons and share that with your client as well. So that's my 4 steps: offer details, parties, terms, and agent analysis. When I click on save. Oh, there we go. Yep. Yeah, Bruce Banner, sorry, Steve Rogers. Our little Zoom window's in the way. Let me shrink that again. Okay. So again, if this was the only bid I had, the only offer I had, that's great. What I need to do just to finish this thing up is, now that this is done, I need to come in here and edit this offer. Oh, wait a minute, sorry. Oh, you know what? I already accepted this one. That's why it's not doing. Okay, let's say this one up top is the one I accepted for whatever reason. Sorry, gang. I put that one down there. I forgot this one's accepted already. I would just come over here and manage commission. And this is where it pulls all that information in, the financials, all the stuff you did for the offer of the bid that was accepted. And you can see general information is over here. Okay, $500,000. I think on this one we went 2.5 on the commission rate for some reason. All right. The total commission is $12,500. Now, if I'm the only agent on this deal, I get 100% of this information, the commission. This total units, you want to make sure it says 1.0. That is your 100%. Okay. If you actually had another agent down here under payments, you can see you can add another agent or add a co-broker payment. If you had to, split a deal or something with somebody, then you would change this information by clicking edit. And maybe this person, like mine now, is maybe I did a 50-50 split. So I would actually be at 0.5. Okay. And you can see over here, it says, well, hey, you've got an error because of the remaining balance. Okay. I didn't actually add another agent. But that tells me that I've got to go in and I've got to change their total units to 0.5 also, because it's not adding up to the 100%. Okay. But the cool thing is you can see the breakdown below, your commission. It tells you, the royalty fees you got to pay the company if you're not capped again, etc. Over here on the right-hand side is the breakdown of that whole thing. I would just come in here and I would add that other agent, or in this case, if it's just me, let's just keep things simple. I'm the only agent. I'm at 100%. Get rid of that error. So there you go. I'm paying my fees to the house, and straight to me it's coming out of that $12,500. I'm getting $8,000. I'm not going to do it, but you would click on submit, and now that will submit that to the market center for your offer. And that's how you finish both the form side with all the compliance paperwork and your actual paycheck and commission side as well. Okay. The great thing is once that gets approved, then hey, you get a paycheck, and we have gone from step 1 to step 6, contacts to commission. All right. Any questions, Gain, on the basics? Hopefully that cleared some stuff up for you. Or Michelle, I know you said it made things a little easier, save you a little bit of time in a couple of areas.
Yeah, it was definitely helpful, just knowing that tidbit about, because the contract I did on Saturday, I was, having to put literally all the signatures, all the dates and go.
Right.
So it's like, had I would have known that probably would have saved me, 10 minutes. That's a
Yeah.
long time when you're.
Yeah, no, it really is.
deadline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. And so I'm guessing that what you might have chosen was the contacts from the DocuSign room.
Yep.
Rather than the pre-tagged roles.
Yep.
Yeah. Do the pre-tagged roles. It'll just,
Yeah.
once you add that first one, boom, it just adds everything in there.
All of it was worth it for just knowing that.
Just knowing that. Okay, well, good. That's worthwhile. Today was worthwhile then. I feel good.
Yeah, for sure. Learned something today. So thank you.
Awesome.
You always do a great
Absolutely.
job. Appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, gang, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up unless you have any other questions. Again, I will go ahead and I'll just email you guys a copy of the PowerPoint so you have it directly, but then I'm going to take a copy and put it on the Facebook as well so anybody else can grab it when I put the YouTube thing on there. Probably take 2-3 days to get that downloaded and uploaded and whatnot, but I'll send it to you guys personally, okay?
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome,
Thanks.
Heather. You're welcome, Michelle. Thank you for coming. You guys
See ya.
have a great week, okay?
See you.
All right. See you, ladies. Take care.
Bye-bye.